13.1 Graphing linear equations. A linear equation is an equation whose graph is a line, and the points on the line are the solution. So here we have a line that represents the equation y equals x plus 1. All the points on this line are a solution to that equation, meaning if I chose x equals a negative 1, that would mean that y should be 0, and that's in fact what it is. So this is the solution to that equation. So when we want to graph a linear equation, for instance, this linear equation y equals a negative 2x plus 1, we have 3 steps we want to do. And the first is to make a table of the values. So for that, we would pick, for instance, x equals negative 1, x equals 0, and x equals 2. So you want to choose on your x-axis, you want to choose points some that are to the right in the positive direction, probably the origin, and then 1 or 2 points that are negative. So let's start with choosing x as being a negative 1. If we plug that into this equation here, we find that y equals negative 2 times negative 1 plus 1. That means our y value is 3. And then our ordered pair, remember, is in the form of x comma y, so it becomes negative 1 comma 3. Negative 1 comma 3 is a point on the line that is created with this equation. So if we repeated that and plugged in 0 over here into this equation here, we would see that y equals 0 plus 1. So then y is 1, and our ordered pair is 0 comma 1. And again, for doing it with 2, we find that it's going to be a negative 3, and the point is 2 comma negative 3. Okay, so if we look, here's that table there that we just created. We made the table of values. Now we're going to plot those ordered pairs. So here we have an ordered pair of a negative 1 comma 3. That's a negative 1 comma 3. That's this point here. We have a 0 comma 1. That's here. And a 2 comma negative 3. That's there. Now if we were to draw a line, and I will try as best I can, through all these points, all the points on that line is a solution to this equation, meaning the ordered pairs on this line makes this equation true. Okay, so now you can write in your notes and you can fill in some blanks and then just review the steps to graph a linear equation. All right. The other thing we can do is we can graph horizontal and vertical lines. Here we have a horizontal line and here we have a vertical line. So if we wanted to graph the line y equals 3, well, it doesn't really matter what x value we have. The only thing that matters is that our y value always has to be 3. So that's going to look like that. Y equals 3. Okay, it is a straight line. No matter what x value we choose, y will always be 3. And on this one, if we're going to graph x equals negative 3, we go to negative 3. No matter what y value we choose, we know that our x value must always be a negative 3. So that line corresponds with that one. Okay, and again, time for you to just review your notes really quick and to look at the graphs of horizontal and vertical lines. And now that you've done that, it's time to do 2 practice problems. All right, the first one, practice problem number 1, says graph y equals 3x. To do this one, remember, you need to create a table. And you're going to choose probably negative 1, 0, and 2 as being your x values. Here is your equation here. So you would plug in -1 for x. So y equals 3 times -1, which ends up being -3. So then in this table here, our y value is -3. So our ordered pair is going to be -1, comma, -3, remembering that it goes x, comma, y, right? So you can repeat that for several other values of x. You can do more than just 3, but that would put us at -1, -3. So that first point that I had is there. So once you graph or plot out the rest of these ordered pairs that you create, you will come up with a line. Okay, and practice problem number 2. This one's pretty self-explanatory. You need to graph this straight line, x equals -9. It does not matter what value of y we have. The whole line should show all values being equal to -9 on the x-axis, if that makes sense. All right, and that is it for 13.1.